John asked, do you expect if all other things are equal and guys are healthy that Dabo will continue to favor seniority, maybe putting Stellato as starter over Brown or others? I've always been of the mindset that if you have a guy, if you have two players, one a older player and one a younger, and they are more or less the same as far as performance is concerned, I've always defaulted to the. I think you should play the younger player. But it's not a a steadfast rule, but I do, as a personal philosophy, I'm like, well, if there's not much difference between the veteran and the young guy, I mean, you might as well just play the young guy, because obviously you're going to have more years out of him, and it's good. But I think the good thing this year is I don't think you're going to have to play one at the expense of the other. There is a lot of different, and that's what I love about this wide receiver room is the diversity of bodies and the versatility of the room. I mean, you can play Troy Stellato on the outside. You can play him in the slot. You can play Tyler Brown on the outside and in the slot. Antonio Williams can line up anywhere. I mean, Adam Randall is definitely like a true boundary receiver.
Right.
It's good to have. Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore absolutely can play anywhere on the field. They can be boundary guys that go up and get it. They can play in the slot. Like Cole Turner, obviously, is a guy you can do a lot of things with because of his speed down the field. Like this is a really good group. So I don't think it's one of those things where Dabo and the staff really have to make choices and kind of some hard decisions. And I think the fact that basically nobody left and nobody left from that group I mentioned is big. And obviously Bo Collins, heading to Notre Dame means there's a hole there to begin with.
Right.
So I don't think there's going to be snaps are going to have to be divvied up, but I don't think there's going to be one of those things where one guy's kind of frozen out, in favor of another. So you're going to see a lot of different personnel groupings, especially because you have a really good tight end room and as well. So we'll see how it kind of shakes out, but I don't think that's going to be a huge. It's going to be a huge issue, but Troy Stellato is going to play, and I think he's going to play a good bit because he does.
Yeah.
He has good rapport with Cade. He showed that last year. It was a really good safety blanket. Yeah, he gets open and he made some really makes some really like hands catches. Like I went back and watched some of the Gator Bowl and the catches that Stellato made. Like he had one where the defender literally had his hand on the ball, like just like gripping the ball, and Stellato just trying to muscle the ball out of Stellato's hands, and he brought it all the way to the ground with his hands. Like, he's a really good receiver, and it took us a long time to be able to see that for reasons beyond Troy's control, but he's going to be a player that's going to help them out. So, I mean, he's absolutely going to play. And he has, like I said, he has a good rapport with Cade, and that's it's definitely going to give him a leg up. But, I don't, especially, you mentioned Tyler Brown and others, but like all of these guys are going to be able to play a good bit because of how Garrett Riley likes to use his personnel and the different personnel looks he likes to use. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think honestly, it's going to be receiver by committee this year. Everybody's like, "Oh, who's going to run? Who's going to start? Who's going to set the bench?" Like, look, I think there's just going to be a lot of different personnel packages to keep defenses off of balance, and I think it's a good problem to have. And obviously, all of these dudes felt comfortable with where they stand within this offense and the touches to go around because none of them jumped in the transfer portal, which was, slightly surprising. I I think because I was, more leaning to the fact that we would probably lose a wide receiver or two. Um, but we didn't. We didn't lose any. And, we got a ton of guys, and, you can list them off. Troy Stellato, Brown, Antonio Williams, Adam Randall, Cole Turner, TJ Moore, Brian Wesco. I mean,
We'll see how Ronan Hannafin and Tink Kelly,
Tink Kelly,
Noble Johnson, if he can get right.
Yeah, we'll see when he gets back healthy and everything, and gets through all his off the field stuff. But there's a deep wide receiver room there, and I truly think this year will be wide receiver by committee, and just hey, whoever's getting off that game, ride that hot hand. Allow that person that is obviously having their day to have their day, right? Without worrying about who's starting versus not starting. And I think it bodes well because of the injury issues that we've had in that room in the past few seasons, right? In the most recent history of Clemson football. It's good that we got so many wide receivers that we believe that can go out there and really contribute in a big way to this offense because obviously
we've seen all these guys at different points.
Injuries are inevitable. And most of these guys have been injured at different points in time in their career. So to think that they're all going to stay healthy the entire season is probably fool's gold. So it's good that we have a deep group that has a lot of experience, along with the addition of a Brian Wesco and a TJ Moore to complement that room. I think the Clemson wide receiver room is in the best shape it has been probably since that 2019 group.
Listen, I think especially when you couple it with the tight end room, I think it's better. I think it's better than even Trevor's last year. From a overall makeup, obviously, you had Travis Etienne at running back, and that helped a ton. But outside of Amari Rogers and Cornell Powell, you didn't really have a threat at tight end. You didn't have much behind those guys. EJ Williams, he flashed as a freshman, but after that, you couldn't rely on anybody. So from a depth perspective, this is the best group that this program has seen in about 5 years.
Right.
So I think, especially when you consider, I feel like a lot of teams would be really envious to have what Clemson has at wide receiver right now. And I think, you put Trevor in this offense, you put Deshaun in this offense, even you put Kelly Bryant in this offense. I think this offense would be really good.
Yeah.
And so, that's why it comes down to Cade's development as a quarterback, because so much, as much as the offense struggled at times last year, and the offensive line wasn't always great, and the fumbling and the turnovers weren't great. Cade created a lot of his own issues.
Yes, trying to do too much, trying to play hero ball. Yep. We saw Cade time and time again last year trying to play hero ball and do too much and forcing the issue, and sometimes holding on to the ball too long, which resulted in sacks, which resulted in strip fumbles, return for touchdowns, catastrophic plays. He's got to mature. He's got to learn to play within the system. And, sometimes throwing the ball into the stands or off on the sideline is the best option that you have with a given play. Like, live to fight another down, right? You don't have to score a touchdown every time you throw the ball, right? You don't have to make ESPN's top or Sports Center top 10, every time, every single play. And just understanding that and playing within the system and kind of allowing Garrett Riley to scheme things and get receivers open. But we'll see.
Yep.
That's a lot easier said than done. So still a lot of questions for Clemson heading into fall camp and the season.